Howdy, folks. Welcome to Mental Health Monday. Not going at our normal noon time because um, Jessica gave me a Yule gift of getting my feet taken care of, pedicure. So I was relaxing and having my feet taken care of at noon. So that's why I wasn't here. Little self, little self care, and definitely something that I needed to get done. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but the weather here in Texas has been going nuts. We'll have a couple of days where the highs are up in the 70s and almost reaching into the 80s, and the nights are down into maybe the 50s. And then we'll have a couple of days where the temperature during the day is in the mid 50s, maybe 60s, and then down at night it's down into right around 30 degrees, 36, 37 degrees. And I mean, it's great for sleeping, but the up and down in the temperatures is making me crazy. It's like it can't decide. It can't decide. Not to mention it's also bugging the heck out of my allergies. So there's that. Today for Mental Health Monday, what I wanted to talk about was the holidays. Go figure. It's what we're dealing with. It's what we've been dealing with. And it can be a really challenging time when it comes to dealing with mental health during the holidays. And there's a couple of reasons for that. For me personally, growing up, the holidays were always when family got together and that kind of stuff. And my mom has passed away. My youngest brother has passed away. My father has passed away. So and my grandparents, a lot of the people that I associate the holidays with, spending time with them, aren't here anymore. So it can be a time where I remember and I miss these family members a lot. And that can make it very challenging for me. Another aspect of it is, for some folks, is you may not get along with your family, or whichever part of the family that you may be visiting and that kind of stuff. And that can add to a lot of stress because, you want to be there for certain people, but these other people are going to be there and they're just going to drive you crazy for whatever reason. So all these kind of things can build up to be a lot of noise. I guess is one way to put it. So if you're trying to be there for your family, but you got certain people in your family that you don't get along with, man, it's stressful. It makes you crazy. Can lead to angry outbursts. It can lead to a lot of people just being like, you know what, as much as I want to be there for these people, I can't deal with this. And now you've got other people that are upset because you're not there, and that's understandable. I would point out though that if it is more stressful for you to deal with certain people, let the others know. Maybe you can't, maybe not on the main holiday, or maybe not at the same time as everybody else, but you can still make a time to spend with those people that you want to spend time with, and you can avoid the other ones. The other thing you can do is you can just invite them over to your place, because then you control who comes and who doesn't. But that can be a really challenging aspect of it. But when it comes down to, for like me, dealing with these folks that I miss, a big part of what I do is I work on remembering, a lot of the joy and the good memories from that. And then I try to share some of that with my kids, tell them stories about what it was like when Dad and their uncles were about their age and the craziness that we would get into and all different kinds of things. I was a sound sleeper as a kid is the only thing I can think of, because I remember one time I went to bed and I woke up and I'm starting to sneak out because the doors for my bedroom and then the bedroom that my younger brothers were in faced each other, and then away, looking out from where those rooms were, looked over the living room where the Christmas tree and everything was. So I remember one time we woke up kind of early in the morning, as kids are wont to do, and we opened up the doors and we're peeking out there trying to see what all is out there, because we weren't allowed to go out there until mom and dad were up. And I remember sitting there going, man, it looks like there's a train set. So, we were pointing these things out, and my brother goes, what's that in your room? And I turned in and look. I hadn't even noticed they had put a desk in my room. And I slept right through them bringing this desk in and setting it up in my room. So it's one of those funny stories where I'm so focused on what's in the tree, I missed the fact that there was something in my room. But, the thing about missing people is that you can allow it to be pain that dominates you. Depending upon how recent your loss is, it can be very, very difficult to deal with. I've had a few years now, and I think the biggest thing for me is that in remembering these things and remembering the joy of it, it helps me to not wallow in that darkness of, I just miss them. Because I do. I don't know how many times I wish I could talk to any one of them. And that remembering of the good things allows that to be a warm feeling. Even though there is that missing them, it doesn't become something that is so utterly painful that it's not something I can deal with. Another thing that I think about during the holidays, and this feeds in with mental health as well, I spent a career in the military. So did my father. There were a lot of holidays when, wasn't there. He wasn't there when I was a kid because he was deployed. Although we typically got some really cool Christmas gifts. He was deployed as a P3 pilot, so he's out going around doing his thing and visiting these different countries and buying presents and sending them home. I didn't really have the same opportunities for that, being that I did combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's not like we were going to go out shopping for Christmas presents on the local economy. We were usually doing combat patrols and that kind of thing. A little bit different, but when I was stationed in Korea, tried to find stuff that was from Korea for the kids, for my daughters and for my wife. I got her this really thick bathrobe that is, because she's always talking about how she's cold. Well, she can wear this, and if she's still cold when she's wearing this, then got an ice age coming. But that separation from military service members, that can be really difficult too, especially for kids. Mom or dad isn't there. It's hard for them to understand. A lot of their friends, their parents are there for the holidays, but one of theirs isn't. That can be really challenging for the children and for the parents. Another aspect about it is when I came on active duty, my first squad leader, what we call a chief of section chief in the field artillery, was then Staff Sergeant Christopher Waddell. And one of the things that he taught me by his example, and this is something I did with my soldiers when I became an NCO as well, was, okay, We didn't have to eat meals together all the time. We could go and we could do our thing. But when it came down to the Thanksgivings, the Christmas meals, those kind of holiday meals where you normally spent with your family, he was like, well, this is your family during this deployment, so we're all going together. And we would go as a section or as a squad and go and eat those holiday meals together. And I think that really helped when I was deployed, because prior to that, I was always around family for the holidays. And it was, that first time when I was in Iraq, where I was away from family for the holidays, wasn't even in the States, was very difficult. But his emphasizing that, this group of guys that drove me absolutely petrified. We all drove each other nuts. But to this day, I've got a fondness for all of them. and I look at where some of them are now, and it's just like, wow. I remember when this guy was a brand new private. Look at him now, platoon sergeant. It's awesome. But that was something that really made a difference for me and helped me with dealing with that mental health aspect. So if you find yourself where you're not around your family for whatever reason, I hope that you have people around you that can be that close family type environment for the holidays. Another option I have these days is the VFW. They typically have holiday meals, and these are people that are like a family. We all share things in common. Granted, some of them were in the Air Force, and some of them, but they all served. They all get what it was like to be away from family and that kind of thing. So having that kind of a group can be important. If you're away at school and you're not, most schools are out for the holidays, but some people still live in that area and they're not able to make it home for whatever reason, find the people that you associate with that have become like your family and associate with them. Now, granted, if you've got the people that are driving you nuts and you don't want to deal with them, then don't. But by all means, don't spend it completely by yourself, because there are people that will care and there are people that will spend time with you, and that's the important thing is the fellowship. And having that fellowship during the holidays is really the biggest way to deal with a lot of this stress and stuff from everything, all the expectations that everybody puts on everybody and all that kind of stuff. Manage those expectations too. That's another big thing. And you can't manage other people's expectations. Manage your own. If you don't manage to have the perfect decorations, if you don't manage to have all the gifts that you wanted to get, if you don't manage to get that recipe from grandma to turn out the way you wanted it to, it's okay. Life goes on. Give yourself a break. Give yourself permission to not be perfect. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't strive for perfection, but striving for it and then beating yourself up because you don't meet it are two different things. Striving for it will always help you to exceed what you thought you could, what you think you can do. But when you beat yourself up because you came up short against what probably were somewhat unrealistic expectations, or just the harsh reality of things these days, with the economy the way it is, with so many people having been out of work, with so many people struggling financially, you're not able to do all the things that you might have wanted to do, or what you had been able to do in the years past. It's okay. The important thing is to bond and to have that fellowship and spend that time with your kin. And just remember, this is meant to be a time of reflection and a time of joy. Doesn't really matter what spiritual path you follow. A lot of them at this time are all dealing with the same thing: reflection and joy. So, reflect on the things that you have, let go of the things that you don't, and remember, it's in the fellowship and it's in family that we find joy. Now, those members of your family that cause you stress, maybe they don't give you so much joy, but there are people who bring joy to you. So, spend time with them. Find your joyfulness. That's pretty much what I wanted to say today. So, y'all have a great afternoon. Most of the time we'll be doing this at noon. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll be here at noon Central Time. Different topics. Mondays will be Mental Health Mondays. Wednesday will be Wellness Wednesdays. Tuesdays is about tips and tricks for photography, lighting, and video. And Thursdays is Thursday. Talk about leadership, talk about philosophy, that kind of thing. Fridays, 4 p.m. Central Time, usually posted from my wife's social media, her Facebook account. We have Hummus Foodie Fridays. We're setting that up to be events now, so I will be sharing those events. I want to say we're doing something with cabbage and sausage this week. Yes, I love it. So that's pretty much where you can find me live during the week. And until next time, folks, peace, love, and photography. And remember, everything can make a beautiful image, including you. Have a great afternoon.